Welcome back to English Without Limit. I'm Julia, and in today's episode, I'll share some simple, clear, and useful stories from daily life. These stories are about family, work, and social situations. Listening to them will help you understand how to use English in common conversations. Listen carefully, repeat after me if you want, and try to imagine the scenes in your mind. Let's start with a story from my family life. Last weekend, my husband Daniel and I visited my parents. We had lunch together at their home. My mother prepared a delicious meal, and we all sat down to talk. My father asked about my work and how things were going at the office. I told him this week was busy because we had a new project to finish. Daniel also shared about his week and how he managed a big meeting with his team. After lunch, we went for a short walk in the garden. The sun was shining and the fresh air felt wonderful. Spending time with family always makes me feel calm and happy. Now, let's move to a work conversation. At my office, I have a colleague named Sarah. She is very kind and always helps me when I have questions. One day, we had to prepare a presentation for our manager, Mr. Smith. We divided the tasks. Sarah worked on the slides, and I prepared the main points to explain. We stayed a little longer that day to make sure everything was ready. The next morning, we presented our work to Mr. Smith. He was happy and said it was clear and professional. After the meeting, Sarah and I felt proud because our teamwork made the project successful. These simple conversations happen often at work. They are a great way to practice English at a B1, B2 level. Next, let's talk about a social situation. Last Friday evening, my friend Emma invited Daniel and me to her home for tea. We sat in the living room and talked about our plans for the weekend. Emma told us about a small picnic she was planning with her children at the park. Daniel shared that we were going to visit my parents. We laughed about some funny moments from the past, like the time we tried to make a big cake and forgot to add sugar. It was a very sweet and relaxing evening. Before we left, Emma said, "Next time we should all cook something together." Friendly talks like this are very useful for learning English because they are natural and simple. When you listen to these stories, notice that the sentences are not too long. They are clear and easy to follow. You can use similar sentences when talking with your family, at work, or with friends. Try to remember useful phrases like, "How are things going at the office?" "We stayed a bit longer to finish our work." "Next time, we should all cook something together." These are everyday expressions that make your English sound natural. Now, another family story. One evening, after a busy day at work, I came home feeling tired. Daniel was reading a book in the living room. The children were doing their homework. I went to the kitchen and started preparing dinner. While I cooked, Daniel helped set the table. We talked about our day. I told him about a meeting with my team and our next steps for a project. He said his day was stressful because of a deadline, but he managed everything on time. After dinner, we all sat together and had tea. The children shared funny moments from school. It was a simple, quiet evening, but it felt good to spend time together as a family. Now, a work story from last week. We had a new intern named Peter. He is young and eager to learn. On his first day, he looked a little nervous, so I helped him get started. I showed him around the office and explained how we organize our tasks. Later, during a team meeting, everyone introduced themselves. Peter asked how to prepare reports for clients. I explained step by step and gave him an example from my work. The next day, he showed me the report he made. It was very good, and I gave him some tips to improve it. Helping someone at work makes them feel welcome and improves the whole team's communication. Here's a social example. A few days ago, I met my neighbor, Mr. Johnson, while walking in the evening. He was walking his dog. We stopped to talk. He asked about my work and my children. I said everything was fine and that we were planning to visit my parents again. Mr. Johnson invited us for tea because his wife was baking bread. We thanked him and promised to arrange a time soon. Small conversations with neighbors create a friendly community and make daily life pleasant. Another family example. Last Sunday morning, we cleaned the house together. The children organized their toys, Daniel cleaned the windows, and I did the laundry. We turned it into a small family activity so no one felt bored. After cleaning, we prepared light snacks and sat on the balcony. We talked about our plans for next week and what needed to be done. Spending weekends like this may seem simple, but it creates a sense of teamwork and balance in the family. At work, communication is important. Last month, I had a problem with a report that needed to be submitted by the end of the day. Some information was missing. I called my colleague, Mr. Lee, for help. He was busy in a meeting, but promised to send the details soon. Later, he sent everything I needed, and I finished the report on time. The next day, I thanked him in person. Simple, professional conversations build trust and good relationships at work. On a Saturday morning, Daniel and I took the children to visit their grandparents. We packed fruits and snacks. The weather was cool and pleasant. My parents were happy to see us. My mother hugged the children, and my father smiled. We all sat together in the living room. The children showed their grandparents drawings from school. Daniel helped fix a small table in the garden, while I helped my mother prepare lunch. After lunch, we sat outside and talked about the week ahead. The children played and laughed. Days like this remind me how important family time is. At work, interesting things happen too. On Monday, we had a team discussion about a new client project. Mr. Smith, our manager, wanted fresh ideas. Sarah suggested creating a simple plan first. Peter, the intern, suggested creative points that surprised everyone. I suggested organizing tasks in small steps so no one feels overloaded. Mr. Smith said, "These are good suggestions. Let's combine them to make a strong plan." After the meeting, Sarah told me she liked how everyone contributed. Teamwork like this keeps the workplace healthy and productive. It also helps us practice polite English expressions like, "What do you think?" or "That's a good suggestion." Another story is from a small evening gathering. On Thursday, we invited Emma and her husband David for tea. They arrived around 7 p.m. We set the table with biscuits, bread, and warm tea. The children joined us for a while, then went to their room to read. Emma asked about our recent trip to the countryside. Daniel described the beautiful fields, and David said he was busy with work. We talked about simple things like managing time, planning family activities, and weekend cooking. Before we left, Emma said, "Next time, you should come to our place. We will prepare something special." Social visits like this help us connect with friends and keep relationships warm. At work, small challenges happen too. Last week, we needed to send a report to a client by Friday morning, but one chart was missing data. I emailed Mr. Lee and asked for the missing information. He replied quickly and sent it after his meeting. We finished the report on time. The client was happy and gave positive feedback. Simple, professional communication is key in office life. A family weekday routine. Every Wednesday evening, we cook together. The children wash vegetables, Daniel cuts them, and I prepare the main dish. Last week, we made chicken soup with bread. While cooking, we talked about our day. The children shared what they learned in science, and Daniel told a funny office story. After dinner, we cleaned up together. This routine helps everyone practice sharing, listening, and speaking politely. You can use phrases like, "Can you pass me the spoon?" or "Let's do this together." Another simple story. I went to the post office to send a small package to my cousin. There was a short line. When it was my turn, I said, "I would like to send this package, please." The clerk asked me to fill out a form. I did it carefully. She weighed the package and told me the cost. After paying, she said, "It will arrive in 3 days." Simple English phrases like, "Could you help me with this?" or "How long will it take?" are useful in everyday life. Last weekend, Daniel and I went shopping. We needed new curtains and kitchen tools. At the store, a sales assistant named Anna asked if we needed help. I said, "Yes, we are looking for curtains." She showed us options, and Daniel chose a soft beige color. We also found wooden spoons and a cutting board. At the counter, the cashier asked if we wanted a bag. We said yes and thanked her. Shopping trips are a great way to practice phrases like, "How much is this?" or "Can I pay by card?" Finally, a work training session. Mr. Carter, an experienced trainer, taught us about communication skills. He explained how to write clear emails, start a meeting politely, and give feedback without being rude. Each of us shared an example from our experience. I shared how a message I sent without a greeting sounded too direct. After that, I learned to start with, "Good morning, I hope you are doing well." Mr. Carter said small changes like this make a big difference. At the end, we all thanked him for his time. One Sunday evening, our family visited a park near our home. The weather was calm and the air was fresh. We took a ball and some snacks. The children played while Daniel and I sat on a bench. An elderly man nearby started a conversation. He asked if we often visit the park. We said we come when we have free time. He shared a story about bringing his children to the park years ago. It was a nice, simple chat. Before leaving, we wished him a good evening. Encounters like this make daily life friendly and warm. Last Friday morning, Daniel had an early meeting at his office. I prepared breakfast for the children and made sure they were ready for school. After they left, I cleaned the kitchen and arranged the living room. Around mid-morning, I received a message from Sarah, my colleague. She asked if I could join a short online meeting to discuss the upcoming workplace event. I agreed, and we connected through a video call. Sarah explained the plan, and I suggested a few small changes to make it easier for everyone. She liked the ideas and said she would share them with Mr. Smith. After the call, I prepared a list of materials we would need for the event. Quick, polite conversations like this help keep work organized and show respect for others' time. Later that day, I went to the supermarket. The store was not too crowded, which made shopping easy. I picked fresh vegetables, bread, milk, and some fruits. While looking at the apples, a lady asked, "Excuse me, do you know which ones are sweeter?" I smiled and said, "I usually choose the red ones because they are softer and sweet." She thanked me and we had a short chat about cooking with apples. At the counter, I greeted the cashier and paid by card. Before leaving, I said, "Thank you, have a good day." She smiled back. Small interactions like this make daily tasks pleasant and are great chances to practice polite English. On Saturday afternoon, our neighbor Mrs. Brown knocked on the door. She asked if we could help carry a heavy box from her car. Daniel went with her, and together they brought the box inside. She offered us tea as a thank you, and we sat in her kitchen for a few minutes. She told us her son was coming to visit next week and that she was preparing a surprise. We wished her good luck and said we were happy to help. Acts of kindness like this keep neighborhood relationships strong. The following Monday, I had a meeting with Mr. Lee about the monthly report. He showed me new data to include. We discussed how to present it clearly for our clients. I suggested adding a small chart at the beginning, and he agreed. After the meeting, I updated the document and sent it for review. He replied within an hour. "This looks much better now. Thank you for your quick work." Polite exchanges like this make professional communication smooth and effective. One evening, the children asked if we could play a simple game after dinner. Daniel and I agreed. We cleared the table and brought out a board game. We divided into 2 teams, Daniel with our son and me with my daughter. We played for about an hour, laughing and talking while moving the pieces. Even though my team lost, it was fun because everyone was involved. At the end, the children thanked us and we reminded them to prepare their school bags for the next day. Family games help create happy memories. On Thursday afternoon, my Aunt Maria called. She asked if we could visit during the weekend. She had prepared homemade bread and wanted to share it with us. I checked our schedule and said Sunday would be perfect. When we visited, she served a warm meal. We talked about her garden and listened to her stories from when she was younger. Daniel helped her fix a loose chair, and the children picked flowers from her backyard. Visits like this remind us how important it is to stay connected with extended family. At work, I sometimes train new employees. Last month, a young woman named Julia joined our team. She was eager to learn but unsure how to start. I showed her how we organize files, write emails, and prepare reports. After several short training sessions over the week, Julia became much more confident. She thanked me for my help, and I told her teamwork is always important. It felt good to see her grow comfortable in her new role. One evening, we decided to prepare a simple dinner outdoors. The weather was calm with a light breeze. Daniel grilled vegetables while I prepared rice and salad. The children set the table, and we all ate under the open sky. After dinner, we talked about our dreams. Our son said he wanted to ride his bicycle faster. Our daughter said she wanted to read more books. Daniel and I shared advice about setting small goals step by step. Moments like this give us time to listen and encourage each other. During a recent office lunch, Sarah and I talked about managing time better. I said I like to make a list of 3 main tasks each day. She said she does the hardest task first and then focuses on smaller tasks. We agreed that a short break in the afternoon helps keep the mind fresh. Conversations like this are friendly and useful for practicing everyday English. And at a small community gathering last month, people came to share ideas about keeping the area clean and safe. Mr. Johnson suggested a weekend cleanup, and many supported the idea. Daniel helped arrange tools, and I signed up to bring refreshments. It was a good chance to meet other families, exchange greetings, and talk about improving the neighborhood. Last Tuesday evening, Daniel returned home late from work. The children were doing homework, and I was preparing dinner. I greeted him and asked how his day went. He said it was busy but successful because he finished the project on time. We sat down together for dinner. The children shared what they learned at school. Our daughter talked about a new science experiment, and our son shared a funny moment when the teacher accidentally dropped some chalk. After dinner, Daniel helped with homework, and I cleaned the dishes. It was a simple, warm, and peaceful evening. On Wednesday morning, I had an early meeting with Sarah and Mr. Smith about client feedback. We gathered in the conference room. Mr. Smith asked for ideas to improve the next presentation. Sarah suggested adding more examples to make the information clear. I proposed using shorter sentences in the slides. Mr. Smith agreed and asked us to update the content by Friday. I divided the tasks and made a plan. Conversations like this show how useful simple English phrases are at work, like, "What do you think about this?" or "Let's plan the next steps." Over the weekend, we spent time outdoors. On Saturday afternoon, we went to a playground. Daniel brought a kite, and we helped the children fly it. While the children played, I talked with another parent, Mrs. Clark, about school activities. Her son was in the same class as our daughter. We discussed reading habits and sharing books. Before leaving, we agreed to meet again next week. Short conversations like this help build friendly connections. At work, I prepared a document for an upcoming presentation. Peter, the intern, offered to help. I explained what was needed, and he arranged the numbers into a clear table. When we finished, I thanked him. The next day, Mr. Lee reviewed the document and said it looked professional. Simple teamwork like this makes daily office life smoother and teaches useful expressions like, "Could you help me with this?" or "Thank you for your effort." On a Sunday morning, we visited the farmer's market. It was lively with fresh fruits, vegetables, and handmade bread. We bought tomatoes, spinach, and honey. The seller asked, "Would you like to try our homemade jam?" I said, "Yes, please." He gave us a small spoon, and it was delicious. Daniel bought 1 jar for breakfast. We greeted the seller and wished him a good day. Polite words make interactions pleasant. Later, my cousin Laura called. She needed advice about her new job. She was nervous because she had to lead a small team for the first time. I told her to listen to her team's ideas first and then share her own. I suggested phrases like, "Let's plan this step together," or "What do you think about this idea?" She thanked me and said she felt more confident. Supporting family like this strengthens trust. On a rainy Thursday evening, we made warm soup together. The children helped in the kitchen. While cooking, we talked about their school trip. After dinner, we played a short card game. Everyone laughed when Daniel accidentally dropped the cards. It was a cozy evening that made us feel close as a family. On Monday afternoon, I called a supplier about a missing item in a delivery. I said, "Good afternoon, this is Natasha from the marketing team. We received the package, but one item is missing. Could you please check?" The supplier apologized and promised to send the item the next day. I thanked them and confirmed the address. Clear and polite language solved the problem quickly. During a recent weekend, our family joined a small charity event. The event collected clothes for families in need. Daniel helped carry boxes, I arranged the clothes, and the children folded shirts. The organizer thanked us and said our help would make a difference. Participating in such activities gives many chances to practice polite phrases like, "How can we help?" or "Thank you for organizing this." One evening, my friend Emma asked me to help bake bread. Daniel stayed with the children, and I went to her house. We mixed, kneaded, and baked 2 loaves. While waiting, we talked about work and home tips. The bread turned out soft and delicious. I brought 1 loaf home for the children. Visits like this make friendships stronger. On a quiet Sunday, we organized our photo albums. Daniel brought a box of old pictures, and the children looked at them on the carpet. We saw photos from vacations, birthdays, and daily life. Our daughter laughed at a picture of her messy hair, and our son pointed at a photo of Daniel fixing the fence. We labeled the pictures and talked about how important it is to keep memories. A few days later, I helped Julia with her presentation. She was nervous because it was her first time speaking to the whole department. We practiced short phrases and introductions. On the day, she greeted the team and spoke clearly. Her manager said, "Well done, Julia. That was a strong presentation." She thanked me later for the practice. Small support can make a big difference in confidence. On a Saturday evening, our neighbors invited us for tea. We brought cookies. Their living room was warm and welcoming. We talked about family traditions. Mrs. Evans shared stories from her childhood, and Daniel told a funny memory from university. The children played quietly. Before leaving, we thanked them and promised to invite them next time. Simple gatherings create strong neighborhood friendships. At work, we had a team-building exercise organized by Mr. Smith. We were divided into small groups and had to build a tower using paper, tape, and string. At first, it seemed easy, but we realized it needed planning. I worked with Peter and Sarah. Peter suggested a wide base, and Sarah balanced the top. We combined ideas and built one of the tallest towers. When time was up, our group won. Everyone clapped and cheered. Activities like this show how teamwork, communication, and encouragement bring people together. During a Friday lunch break, I joined some colleagues at a small cafe near the office. We ordered sandwiches and coffee. While eating, Sarah shared a story about her dog learning a new trick. Peter asked me about my children's favorite games. We laughed and exchanged everyday stories. Even short conversations like this help build trust at work and make the atmosphere friendlier. On Sunday afternoon, Daniel decided to fix the small bookshelf in the living room. The children were curious and wanted to help. He showed them how to use a screwdriver safely and let them hand him the tools. I stayed nearby, watching and giving small tips. When the shelf was finished, we placed our books neatly on it. The children proudly said, "We helped too." Simple home projects like this become lessons in teamwork and responsibility. Another memory comes from a family picnic by the lake. We packed sandwiches, fruit, and juice. We spread a blanket on the grass. The children played with a ball while Daniel and I enjoyed the calm view of the water. Later, we walked along the path, collecting small stones and leaves. On our way back, we stopped for ice cream. The day ended with happy faces and sweet memories. One rainy Wednesday morning, I had to attend an online meeting from home. The children were curious and quietly peeked from the doorway. I explained that during meetings, it's important to stay quiet so everyone can listen. Daniel kept them busy with drawing while I joined the call. My team discussed the next project timeline, and we agreed to finish our tasks by the end of the month. After the meeting, I thanked Daniel and the children for their patience. It turned into a small lesson about respect and cooperation. On another evening, Julia invited me for a walk around the neighborhood. The air was fresh after a light rain. We talked about our goals for the year and habits we wanted to improve. Julia said she wanted to read more books in English, and I suggested starting with short stories. I shared that I wanted to spend more time exercising, even simple stretches at home. By the end of the walk, we both felt refreshed and motivated. Conversations like this remind us how friendship supports growth. On Friday evening, Daniel shared some exciting news. His company was planning a small event where employees could bring their families. The children were thrilled to visit his workplace. We discussed what we would bring and how the children could meet his colleagues. The dinner was full of laughter and planning. Simple moments like this show how families support each other and celebrate together. One Sunday morning, I called my parents to check on them. They were happy to hear from us and asked about the children. My father told us about the garden he was taking care of, and my mother asked for new pictures of the kids. We promised to visit soon. After the call, the children drew small pictures to send to their grandparents. Keeping in touch, even with a short call, keeps family bonds strong. Later that week, we attended a school event where parents and children worked on art projects together. Our daughter painted a bright picture of a tree, and our son built a small house out of cardboard. Daniel and I helped with the details. At the end, all families displayed their projects and the teachers thanked everyone. It was a joyful event that practiced teamwork and connected us with other parents. On a quiet Saturday evening, Daniel suggested we watch a movie together. We made popcorn, turned off the lights, and chose a family film. The children laughed at the funny scenes, and we all enjoyed the cozy atmosphere. After the movie, we talked about our favorite characters and moments. Simple activities like this bring joy and help us relax after a busy week. Finally, one special memory comes from a warm summer evening in the garden. The sky was filled with stars and the air was peaceful. The children lay on a blanket, pointing at shapes in the sky. Daniel told a story about camping under the stars when he was young. I listened, smiling. We didn't need anything special. Just being together was enough. Moments like this are meaningful and create lasting memories. Ahmed replied, "That sounds productive. Sharing ideas makes work easier. Even a small suggestion from a team member can change the whole process." As they walked past a bookstore, Ahmed stopped. He said, "Look at those books. I used to read a lot, but now my time is packed with work and family." I smiled. "I understand, but even reading 10 minutes before bed can help. I do that most nights, and it makes me feel calm." Ahmed said, "Good idea. Maybe I'll start again with short stories." A few steps ahead, they saw an old man carrying heavy bags. I quickly offered, "Let us help you, sir." The man thanked us. These are just fruits and vegetables, but they became heavy. Ahmed took a bag. "No problem. Where do you live?" After helping him, he smiled. Kindness like this makes the world better. Thank you, young people. I told Ahmed, moments like this remind us that helping others doesn't take much effort, but it means a lot. Ahmed agreed. Yes, even a small gesture can make someone's day easier. It teaches our children how to be good community members. They reached a park where families sat on benches. Children rode bicycles and parents chatted. I said, I like how parks bring people together. Even if you don't know everyone, the atmosphere feels friendly. Ahmed nodded. I come here with my children on weekends. We play, walk, and sometimes share a snack. Simple moments create strong memories. I checked my watch. I need to catch my bus soon. It was nice to see you, Ahmed. He smiled. Same here. Have a safe trip home. They waved goodbye. I got on the bus, found a seat by the window, and watched the city lights glow. On the bus, I overheard two women. One said, I always struggle to balance work and home chores. Sometimes I feel tired before the day even starts. The other replied, I try to make a small plan every morning. Even if I don't finish everything, at least I have direction. I thought, that is good advice. Planning makes a big difference. When I reached home, my mother greeted me. Welcome back, Natasha. Dinner is almost ready. I said, great. I'll help set the table. We worked together and talked about our day. My father met an old friend at the market, had tea, and talked about old times. I smiled. Simple reunions often bring joy. After dinner, I helped my younger brother Omar with homework. He said, I have to write an essay about helping in the community. Any ideas? I suggested, you can write about helping neighbors carry groceries, cleaning the park, or teaching younger kids. Omar nodded. I will write about helping an old man with heavy bags. That happened to me last week. Before bed, I reflected on my day. The most meaningful parts were not tasks at work, but small interactions. Helping someone, walking with a friend, sharing a meal. These moments make life rich. The next morning, I woke up early, prepared tea, and checked messages. Peter from work wrote, Good morning. Quick meeting at 9. Bring yesterday's notes. I replied, Sure, I'll bring them. At the office, the team gathered. Peter said, We are planning a small client event, just tea, coffee, and snacks. I added, Small gestures make strong connections. The manager said, Yes, we will also invite families. We want them to feel comfortable. After the meeting, I organized my emails. One message was from an old friend, Maria. She wrote, Hi, Natasha. I am moving to your city next month. I'd love to meet and catch up. I replied, Wonderful news. Let me know when you arrive. We can have tea together. During lunch, I went to a cafe with colleagues Lisa and Ahmed. Lisa said, My parents are visiting this weekend. I'm excited. Ahmed added, Spending time with parents is special. My children love their grandparents' stories. I said, One of the best ways to stay happy is to keep connected with family. Even short calls or visits matter. Lisa nodded. Time together is the real gift. After lunch, I returned to work, but I kept thinking about Maria's message. I remembered school days and dreams shared under a tree. Soon we would meet again. As the sun set, I stopped at a fruit shop and bought fresh oranges. Mr. Khalid greeted me warmly. I gave the oranges to my mother. She smiled. That is thoughtful. Thank you. Later, I wrote 3 things I was grateful for. helping someone, meeting a friend, and a peaceful family dinner. Writing notes helps me stay positive. Before sleeping, I placed a book by my bed. I read a few pages about a young teacher building trust in a new town. Simple actions can build strong connections. While standing near the entrance, Natasha saw her colleague Bilal talking on the phone. After his call, he asked, "Natasha, do you know any good place to buy fresh vegetables on the way home?" She replied, "Yes, there is a market near Central Park. I go there often. The prices are fair and the vegetables are fresh." Bilal thanked her. "That is helpful. I want to cook something nice for my wife and kids tonight." As the day ended, Natasha finished her tasks and sent her final emails. She picked up her umbrella, just as her father had advised, because light rain had started falling. On the bus, she watched raindrops on the window and thought about her evening. She planned to read a few pages of her book and spend time with her younger brother. When she arrived home, her mother was preparing tea. "You are just in time," she said. Natasha helped her set the cups on the table. Her brother Omar joined them with a plate of biscuits. "How was your day, Natasha?" he asked. "It was busy, but good. I met Samir for lunch and we talked about family and work. How was your school?" Omar said, "It was fine. We had a lesson about helping others. Our teacher said that even small acts can make a big difference." Natasha smiled. "That is true. Today, I also helped a colleague by giving him information about the market. It is a small thing, but it made his evening easier." Her mother added, "Helping people always comes back as a blessing." After tea, Natasha sat with her father to help him organize some old documents. They found an old photograph of the family during a picnic many years ago. "Look at this," her father said with a warm smile. "That was a good day. We all played, laughed, and shared food together." Natasha looked at the picture. "Yes, I remember. I was so young then. We should plan another family outing soon." Later in the evening, Natasha called her cousin Ela. "Hi, Ela. How are you?" she asked. "I am good, Natasha. We are thinking of visiting you next month. My husband also wants to see your parents." Ela replied, "That would be wonderful. Let me know the dates so we can arrange something nice."
Before going to bed, Natasha took her notebook and wrote down her plan for the next day. Finish the project report, call Maria about her arrival, help her mother with grocery shopping, spend 10 minutes reading English stories before sleep. The next morning, she woke up early. The rain had stopped and the streets were fresh. She prepared a simple breakfast of bread, cheese, and tea. Her father joined her and they talked about plans for the weekend. "I think we should visit your aunt this Saturday," he said. "That is a good idea. It has been a while since we met her," Natasha replied. On her way to work, Natasha saw children walking to school. They laughed and carried their bags. It reminded her of her own school days when she walked with friends, sharing stories about their dreams. At the office, she shared this memory with her colleague Aisha. "Yes, those days were simple," Aisha said. "We did not have big worries. But now, even with responsibilities, we can still make time for joy." During lunch, Natasha received a call from her mother. "Can you bring some bread and eggs on your way home?" her mother asked. "Of course," Natasha replied. In the evening, after finishing work, Natasha stopped at the market. She bought bread, eggs, and fresh fruits. The shopkeeper smiled. "You are a regular customer now." "Yes," she replied. "Your shop always has good quality items." At home, they all had dinner together. Her father talked about his day at the community center, her mother shared a funny story about the market, and Omar spoke about his school project. Natasha listened and laughed with them. She realized again how valuable these evening talks were. After dinner, Natasha read a story to Omar about a boy who helped his neighbors during a heavy rainstorm. Omar listened with wide eyes. "I want to do something like that when I grow up," he said. "You can start even now," Natasha said. "Helping is not about age, it is about the heart." Before going to sleep, Natasha wrote in her notebook. Today was full of small but meaningful moments. She felt grateful for her family, her work, and the little chances to help others. The following morning, she received a message from Maria. "I will arrive next Friday. Can we meet for tea?" "Yes," Natasha replied. She woke up early, enjoying the quiet calm of the house. Soft sunlight came through the curtains. She made a cup of tea and prepared a small breakfast. Her father was already reading the newspaper. "Good morning, Father," she said. "Good morning, Natasha. Ready for another busy day?" he asked. "Yes," she replied. "Today is full of meetings, but I feel prepared." He reminded her to take her umbrella as clouds were gathering. She thanked him and promised she would. After breakfast, she packed her bag and left for work. On her way, she saw her neighbor, Mrs. Khan, carrying a small basket of vegetables. "Good morning, Mrs. Khan," she said. "Good morning, Natasha. Are you going to the office?" Mrs. Khan asked. "Yes, and you?" Natasha replied. "I just came back from the market." They chatted briefly about fresh vegetables and the upcoming weekend before parting ways. At the office, Natasha joined her team in the morning briefing. Mr. Karim, the manager, outlined the tasks for the day. They would review projects and prepare client reports. Natasha listened carefully, took notes, and suggested simplifying one report workflow. Aisha nodded. "That will make it easier for everyone." Natasha felt satisfied. Her idea helped make the plan clearer. After the meeting, Natasha answered emails. A client requested changes to the project timeline. She drafted a reply explaining the new schedule and called to confirm everything. The client thanked her for the prompt response. Moments like these made her feel confident. Small efforts lead to smoother communication and better results. During her mid-morning break, Natasha went to the cafe near the office. She ordered a sandwich and tea. While waiting, she saw a young man helping an elderly woman carry her bag. She thought, these gestures, even small, make life more meaningful and build connections. Back at the office, Natasha prepared for a client presentation. She reviewed her notes and documents carefully. When the client joined, she greeted them politely and explained updates clearly. The client appreciated the clarity and said it would help plan next steps. After the call, she felt accomplished. Planning and preparation led to positive results. At lunchtime, Natasha met her friend Samir at the park. They sat on a bench and enjoyed their packed lunches. Natasha shared her busy morning and small acts of help at work. Samir smiled. "It is impressive how you manage work and still help others. I spent the morning teaching my children to organize their schoolwork." "Yes," Natasha said. "Guiding others at work or home creates small ripples of positivity." After lunch, Natasha returned to finish her tasks. Bilal asked for suggestions about local markets. She explained which stalls had the best produce and gave tips for selecting fresh vegetables. Bilal thanked her. "My family will enjoy it." She realized again how sharing knowledge improves daily life for those around her.
Later, Natasha took a short break and walked to the office rooftop. The view was calming. She watched the city below, parents with children, and shopkeepers closing for the day. Everyone has routines, but small moments of connection make life richer. When the workday ended, she packed her bag and went home. On the bus, she reflected on the day, helping a colleague, advising Bilal, supporting clients, sharing lunch with Samir. All these small actions created meaningful connections. Life felt fuller when she paid attention to people around her. At home, her mother prepared tea with biscuits. Omar worked on his homework. Natasha asked about his day. He explained his lesson on helping neighbors and community. She shared her experiences at work. He listened carefully. "I want to do the same," he said. "You already do small things, Omar," Natasha smiled. "Every effort counts." After tea, her father suggested organizing the living room. They moved furniture, cleaned shelves, and arranged family photos. They found an old photograph from a family gathering. "We should plan a family gathering soon," Natasha said. "Yes," her father agreed. "It is always good to spend time together." Later, Natasha prepared a short list of tasks for tomorrow. Finalize the client report, review the project presentation, help her mother with shopping, spend time reading English stories, call Maria about her arrival. Writing down tasks helped her feel calm and organized. Before going to bed, I spent a few minutes reading a short story about a man who helped his neighbors during difficult times. He carried groceries for an elderly couple. He helped children with their homework. He made small gestures that created strong bonds within the community. Reading this story, I reflected on my own actions. I felt encouraged to continue doing small, meaningful acts each day. These moments created lasting value in both my personal and professional life. After turning off the lights, I thought about the day. I remembered helping colleagues, guiding friends, enjoying time with family, and noticing the kindness of strangers. Even though my tasks and responsibilities were many, focusing on small, meaningful interactions made each day feel full and satisfying. The next morning, I woke up early. I heard the soft sound of rain tapping against my window. The air smelled fresh. The streets outside were still damp from the overnight drizzle. I made myself a cup of tea and quietly prepared breakfast. My father joined me at the table, reading the newspaper. "Good morning, Natasha," he said. "It looks like another rainy day. Be careful on your way to work." I smiled. "Thank you, Father. I will take my umbrella." We talked briefly about the rain and how it might make the day feel slower but peaceful. After breakfast, I packed my bag and left for the office. On the way, I saw my neighbor, Mrs. Rahman, standing under her porch to avoid getting wet. "Good morning, Mrs. Rahman," I said. She waved. "Good morning, Natasha. Are you going to work in this weather?" I nodded. "Yes, I have several meetings today, but I hope everything goes smoothly." She smiled and wished me a good day. The small conversation made me feel connected even in the rainy morning. At the office, the team gathered for our morning briefing. Mr. Kareem, our manager, began, "Today we will review the progress of ongoing projects and make plans for the week." I listened carefully. I suggested we create a short checklist for each task to help the team stay organized. My colleague Aisha nodded. "That will help everyone follow through without missing anything." The discussion continued, and we finalized our priorities for the day. I felt focused and ready to tackle the work ahead. After the meeting, I returned to my desk and started responding to emails. One client needed clarification about a deadline. I drafted a clear response and followed it up with a quick call. The client appreciated the communication and thanked me. I felt satisfied knowing that staying attentive to details made my work more reliable. Small actions like these created trust and smooth workflow for everyone involved. Later, I took a short break and walked to the nearby park. Even though it was still drizzling, a few people were enjoying the fresh air under umbrellas. I noticed a man helping a child tie their shoes. I thought about how small gestures of care often go unnoticed, but make a difference. I sat on a bench for a few minutes, enjoying the quiet and reflecting on how meaningful small acts can be in both my personal and professional life. Returning to the office, I focused on preparing a client presentation scheduled for the afternoon. I organized the slides, reviewed data, and made sure all details were accurate. When the client joined the virtual meeting, I greeted them warmly and presented the updates clearly. The client was pleased with the clarity and said it would help them plan their next steps effectively. I felt the sense of accomplishment knowing that careful preparation led to positive outcomes. During lunch, I met Samir near the office. We found a small cafe and ordered light meals. We talked about family routines. He mentioned spending quality time with his children over weekend projects. I shared that my family had a quiet evening at home, preparing dinner together and enjoying conversation. Samir nodded. It is wonderful to spend time with family. These simple moments make a big difference. I woke up the next morning to soft sunlight filling my room. The streets outside were calm. A few early risers walked to their destinations. I made tea and prepared a light breakfast. My father was already at the table, reading the newspaper. "Good morning, Father," I said. "Good morning, Natasha. Did you sleep well?" he asked. "Yes, I did. I feel ready for the day ahead," I replied. We talked briefly about the weather and my plans. He reminded me to take an umbrella, as the forecast predicted rain later. I thanked him and packed it in my bag. As I walked toward the bus stop, I saw my neighbor Hassan carrying groceries. "Good morning, Hassan," I said. He smiled. "Good morning, Natasha. Are you off to work?" "Yes, I have a busy day at the office," I replied. We walked together for a few steps, talking about weekend plans. He mentioned how he and his wife plan to spend time at the park with their children. I shared that my family might visit my aunt. The small conversation made the walk pleasant, and I felt ready to focus on work. At the office, we had our morning briefing. Mr. Karim outlined the tasks for the day. He emphasized client communications and finalizing project updates. I suggested a small adjustment to the report schedule to make deadlines easier to track. Aisha agreed. That will make it simpler for everyone to follow the workflow. I felt satisfied knowing that my input helped improve the plan. After the meeting, I returned to my desk and began responding to emails. One client requested clarification on a timeline. I drafted a clear response and called to ensure they understood the changes. They appreciated the prompt reply. Moments like these reminded me how careful attention to details builds trust and smooth communication. Small efforts in work often lead to bigger outcomes later. During my mid-morning break, I went outside for a short walk. The air was fresh and a few drops of rain were falling. I saw a young man helping an elderly neighbor carry her shopping. I smiled, thinking how small gestures of kindness can make a meaningful difference. I sat on a nearby bench, reflecting on how I had helped colleagues earlier in the week and the positive feelings that came from it. Small actions often leave lasting impressions on others. Noticing them inspired me to keep being helpful. Back at the office, I prepared for an afternoon presentation. I organized slides, reviewed details, and made sure all documents were accurate. When the client joined the virtual meeting, I greeted them warmly and explained the updates clearly. The client appreciated the clarity. They said it would help them plan their next steps effectively. I felt proud that careful preparation led to positive outcomes. Knowing my work made a difference motivated me to continue focusing on details. At lunchtime, Samir joined me near the park. We found a quiet bench and unpacked our sandwiches. We talked about family routines. Samir shared how he taught his children to organize their schoolwork. I told him about my family's evening together, preparing dinner and sharing stories. We agreed that family time was invaluable. The small moments spent together created lasting memories. After lunch, I returned to the office and organized tasks for the afternoon. Bilal asked for advice about a local market for fresh vegetables. I gave him a few options and explained which stalls usually had the best produce. He thanked me. My family will enjoy the shopping experience. Sharing simple knowledge and tips felt meaningful. Even small assistance can make daily life easier for someone else. Later, I stepped onto the terrace for a short break. The city looked peaceful. The rain had stopped and the streets glistened. Families walked together. Shopkeepers closed their stalls. Children played near puddles. I reflected on how everyone had responsibilities, but small actions of care and attention toward others could make life more enjoyable. Observing these moments reminded me that the world was full of opportunities to connect and contribute positively. At the end of the workday, I packed my bag and took the bus home. I thought about the interactions I had during the day, helping a colleague, guiding Bilal, preparing for a client presentation, and spending time with Samir. Each moment, no matter how small, contributed to a sense of satisfaction. Focusing on meaningful interactions made the day feel full and worthwhile despite the busy schedule. At home, my mother had prepared tea. I helped set the cups while Omar worked on his homework. We talked about the school day and community activities. Omar shared his interest in helping neighbors and learning small acts of kindness. I encouraged him, even small actions make a difference. You are already contributing in your own way. We enjoyed tea together and discussed simple ways to help others in daily routines. After tea, my father suggested organizing the living room for the weekend. I joined him. We rearranged furniture, cleaned shelves, and organized family photos. While sorting through old photographs, we found pictures from a family picnic several years ago. I smiled. We should plan another gathering soon. My father agreed. Yes, it will be nice for everyone to spend time together. The simple task of organizing reminded me of the joy of family memories and connections. Later in the evening, I wrote a small list of tasks for the next day. Complete a project report. Review client documents. Help my mother with shopping. Read a short English story before sleeping. Writing tasks gave me clarity and a sense of calm. I felt prepared for the day ahead and appreciated the balance between work, family, and personal growth. Before sleeping, I read a short story about Newtown and helped neighbors in small ways. The teacher organized study groups, assisted elderly residents with groceries, and encouraged the community to support each other. I felt inspired thinking about how my own daily actions, helping colleagues, guiding Bilal, and spending time with family, created meaningful impact in small ways. The story reminded me that consistent, thoughtful actions lead to lasting value. As I lay in bed, I reflected on the day. Every small act, interaction, and shared moment created a sense of fulfillment. Helping a colleague, guiding Bilal, enjoying lunch with Samir, spending time with family, and noticing the kindness of others all contributed to a richer life. Even with responsibilities and challenges, Focusing on meaningful interactions made each day rewarding and full of purpose. The next morning, I woke up feeling refreshed. The streets were clear and calm after the rain, and sunlight streamed through the window. I prepared breakfast for myself and my father, enjoying the quiet start. I planned the day carefully, finalized the client report, organized project files, spend time with family, and read a story in the evening. Having a plan made the day feel manageable and balanced. On my way to work, I noticed children walking to school, laughing and talking. I remembered my own school days and shared the memory with Aisha at the office. At lunchtime, my mother called to ask me to pick up some groceries on the way home. I promised I would, feeling responsible and helpful. After work, I visited the market to pick up fresh vegetables, bread, and milk. The shopkeeper greeted me warmly. I carefully chose the best items. At home, we had dinner together. My father shared news from the community center, my mother told a story from the market, and Omar explained his school project. Listening and sharing these daily experiences created warmth and togetherness in our home. After dinner, I read a story to Omar about a boy who helped his neighbors during a heavy rainstorm. The boy carried food and ensured everyone's safety. Omar listened attentively. "I want to do the same when I grow up," he said. I smiled. "You already do small things every day. Kindness is about effort and heart." Before sleeping, I wrote in my notebook about the day's meaningful moments, helping others, spending time with family, and noticing small acts of care. I also received a message from Maria about her visit next Friday. I felt excited and ready to welcome her warmly. Each day offered opportunities to create connections, contribute positively, and enjoy life fully. I woke up to the gentle sound of birds outside my window. The sun was shining softly, and the day felt calm. I prepared my morning tea and made a small breakfast. My father was already at the table reading his newspaper. "Good morning, Father," I said. He looked up and smiled. "Good morning, Natasha. Ready for a new day?" I nodded. "Yes, Father. I feel ready to start fresh today." We discussed a few small plans for the weekend, including visiting my aunt and helping her organize her garden. I made sure to pack my umbrella as the forecast suggested rain later. On my way to the bus stop, I noticed my neighbor, Mrs. Khan, taking her dog for a walk. "Good morning, Mrs. Khan," I said. She smiled warmly. "Good morning, Natasha. Are you off to work?" I nodded. "Yes, I have a few meetings this morning, but I am feeling prepared." She mentioned that she was planning to meet her daughter later in the day. We chatted briefly about the weather and our weekend plans, which made the walk feel pleasant and relaxed. Arriving at the office, the team gathered for our morning briefing. Mr. Kareem, our manager, outlined the day's priorities. He emphasized completing client reports and preparing updates for ongoing projects. I suggested that we create a checklist for each task to help everyone stay organized. Aisha nodded in agreement. That will make it easier to manage deadlines. I felt satisfied that my suggestion was appreciated and helped improve the team's workflow. We discussed our individual responsibilities and finalized the plan for the day. After the morning meeting, I returned to my desk and started responding to emails. One client requested clarification about a project timeline. I drafted a clear response and followed it up with a call to make sure they understood the updates.
The client thanked me for the prompt communication. I felt pleased knowing that attention to detail and quick responses helped maintain strong professional relationships. Small actions often create positive impact that lasts beyond a single interaction. During my mid-morning break, I walked to the nearby park. The fresh air made me feel relaxed. I noticed a man helping a child cross the street safely. I thought about how small acts of care can make a big difference in people's lives. I sat on a bench for a few minutes, reflecting on my own efforts at work. Guiding colleagues or helping clients creates small but meaningful impacts. These moments reminded me that everyday kindness matters greatly. Returning to the office, I prepared for an afternoon client presentation. I organized my slides, reviewed all information carefully, and made sure the documents were accurate. When the client joined the video call, I greeted them warmly and explained the updates clearly. The client expressed satisfaction with the clarity and said it would help them plan their next steps efficiently. I felt accomplished knowing that preparation and attention to detail created positive outcomes. These moments reinforced my confidence in professional communication. During lunch, I met Samir near the office. We chose a quiet cafe and unpacked our lunches. We talked about family routines. Samir shared how he had been helping his children organize their schoolwork more efficiently. I shared that my family spent the previous evening preparing dinner together and sharing stories. Samir nodded. Spending time with family is truly important. These moments create memories that last a lifetime. I agreed, feeling grateful for small family interactions that often go unnoticed but mean so much. After lunch, I returned to my desk and continued working. My colleague Bilal asked me for advice about local markets for fresh vegetables. I gave a few suggestions and explained which stalls were usually the best. He thanked me. My family will enjoy the shopping experience. Sharing simple knowledge felt fulfilling. Even small advice can improve someone else's daily life. Moments like these reminded me that being helpful creates meaningful connections with people around me. Later in the day, I took a short walk on the office terrace. The city looked calm. The streets glistened after a light rain. Families returned home. Shopkeepers closed their stalls. Children played near puddles. I reflected on the variety of responsibilities people had, yet small acts of kindness and attention towards others created a sense of community. Observing these moments inspired me to continue contributing positively in both personal and professional environments. I packed my bag and headed home. On the bus, I thought assisting a colleague, client presentation, and sharing lunch with Samir. Each small action contributed to a sense of fulfillment. Even in a busy schedule, focusing on meaningful interactions made the day feel rewarding and complete. When I reached home, my mother had prepared tea. I helped set the cups while Omar worked on his homework. We talked about his school. Omar shared that he wanted kindness in his community. Even small gestures make a big difference. You are already making an impact. We enjoyed tea together, discussing practical ways to help others in daily life. Conversations reinforced lessons of care and community. After tea, my father suggested organizing the living room for the weekend. I joined him, and together we rearranged furniture, cleaned surfaces, and organized family photos. While sorting through old photographs, we found pictures from a family picnic years ago. I smiled. We should plan another outing soon. My father agreed. Yes, spending time together is important.
This simple task reminded me of the value of family moments and the joy of preserving memories. Later in the evening, I wrote down tasks for the next day. Finalize a project report, review client documents, help my mother with shopping, read a short English story before sleeping. It gave me a sense of clarity and calm. It helped me feel prepared for the day ahead. I also wrote a reminder to call Maria about her upcoming visit, looking forward to welcoming her warmly. Before sleeping, I read a story about a young teacher who moved to a new town and helped neighbors through small, meaningful actions. The teacher guided children in their studies, assisted elderly residents with groceries, and encouraged a sense of community. I felt inspired thinking about how my own daily acts, helping colleagues, advising friends, and spending time with family, could create a similar positive impact in small ways. As I lay in bed, I reflected on the day. Each small act contributed to fulfillment, helping a colleague, advising Bilal, enjoying lunch with family, and notice all added depth to daily life. Focusing on meaningful interactions created a sense of satisfaction and purpose, even amid busy schedules. The following morning, I woke feeling refreshed and ready to start the day. The streets were bright and calm. Sunlight streamed through my window. I prepared breakfast for myself and my father, enjoying the quiet, reflective start. I planned my day, complete a client report, organize project files, spend time with family, and read an English story in the evening, having a clear, organized, and focused. On my way to work, I saw children walking to school, laughed at my own school days, and shared the memory with Aisha at the office. At lunchtime, my mother called, asking me to pick up groceries. After work, I stopped at the market and selected fresh vegetables, bread, and milk. The shopkeeper, I carefully chose the... At home, we had dinner together. My father shared news from the community center. My mother told stories from the market. Omar explained his school project. Listening and sharing these small daily experiences created warmth and connection in our home. After dinner,